This is going to be number 1, and I can't name it. Maybe later on, if I see it more, I will. So that was number 1. This over here, I'll let this be number 2. This is bone set, I'm pretty sure. There's Queen Anne's lace, which probably about everybody knows. This one, well, I'll use this as an example. I'm not sure. I would say it's an aster. I would even say it's New England aster, but it's getting ready to bloom. Once the flowers come, this would be, I'm going to lose track, I know. This would be number 4, I think. Once the flowers come out, it's much easier to tell what they are. There is some very thick, this is 5, I guess, very thick smartweed. I'll show you, there's a lot of that right in here because it likes it where it's wet. This will be 6, and I'm just not sure what that is. The grasses, now that's poverty grass, I think right there. The grasses are not, well, I'll mention a few, but you don't see many grasses right in here. What you see is, this is sedge, and hairgrass or wiregrass it's called. It's just murder. I think I'm up to 7 on a sickle bar mower, because a sickle bar mower, no matter how sharp it is or how little clearance there is between the ledger plate and the knife, that gets in there and clogs them. This is nutsedge. It's not a grass, it's a sedge. There's the flower of smartweed. I'm losing track. I knew I would. This would have been, what, 8, something like that. This would be, nutsedge would be 9. This would be, well, smartweed, I already mentioned it. It would be 10. And then this one is the one I'd said earlier. I'd really like to know what it is. And now that it's blooming, is this 11 maybe? Now that it's blooming, it ought to be much, much easier to identify what that is. Because it's right, there's this dense patch of it here, and I don't really know why. I guess I don't know what this is either. I guess I don't know what that is. Growing right in the water. Now, let me get my hoe here. This I wanted to be sure to show you. I've been leaving this alone. It was tempting to cut it off or something, but it's, I didn't know the name years back, and so I just called it pipeweed, because look at the stems. You could make a pipe out of that. That's so unusual. The flower is starting. It'll show later. I think pigs are leaving it alone. The horsetail comes to mind, but if it's a horsetail, it's not a grass. Well, it's in a kind of a special family. That's an alder, and I've cut so much of that alder. There is some. It's, you know, technically not a flower exactly. There's a willow in among them. And here's a hedge I planted years and years ago of willow. I don't know what kind. I don't remember anymore. It might be black willow. I don't think it's weeping willow. I don't think it's basket willow. And I'm pretty sure it's not swamp willow. I'll show you swamp willow if there's some. I can show you some swamp willow. This, of course, is multiflora rose. Now I've cut some of it, but I didn't cut. This is one I go after. That flower right there, I do not know. I've lost track. I was going to give numbers. I don't know if I can show you some swamp willow that's hasn't been pruned, but that's wilted because I've pruned it. But I want to show you its habit. It grows out across water, and so it tends to block my ditches. If you don't stay after it, it'll just shut a system like mine right down. I don't know what this is. It might be a berry of some kind. It might be a raspberry even. I don't know, mixed in with the other stuff. It's got thorns on it. I don't know what that is. Ah, Vervain. I was afraid that there wasn't going to be any of this because there was so little. There, incidentally, is pottery left indicating there was a foundation here. But anyway, Vervain, this is what it looks like when it flowers. It's white. As a matter of fact, there's lots of kinds of Vervain. This is white Vervain. And there's more over there that's in flower. There's places here where it's on the ground like a pure stand this year. That, of course, is burdock. And I made a post before and there was some discussion about should I leave it. You can see it's starting to get those little burrs. And I could not the pigs won't eat it. And I could not come up with a good reason to cut it off because it's making shade. It would be bare ground otherwise. And while I'm here, I just want to go over and show you this vine. Yeah, it's 5-leaf ivy. I thought it was. You know, it's often confused with poison ivy, but it isn't poison. Oh, and here are these buttercups. Oh, wait, what's that? I can't remember. And you can see I've completely lost track. And this bush, I've got another example of it. I remember my mom, when in doubt, would say, well, it's some kind of viburnum. Here's another yellow flower that's different. There's one called butter and eggs, but I don't think that's what that is. And this, oh no, that's 5-leaf ivy as well. Here we have some red clover. This, I believe, is called gill over the ground or gill over the rocks. That's not a real good example of the plant. I've got lots of it elsewhere. And here's another one of those yellow flowers, and I do not know. I don't know what that is. Ooh, isn't that pretty? I don't know. I wish I had remembered the numbers because some viewers out there might be able to name every one of these. That's mullein or mullein. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. Hard to confuse that with anything else. Pigs do not eat it. Easy enough to control, I think, if you just cut it down. But reminds me of, in a way, of tobacco. Well, so does burdock. Mullein or mullein. This is touch me not. And there's the first flower of the season that I've seen on it. It's called that because once the seed's there, if you touch them, the seed springs and throws seed everywhere. There's places where there's a lot of it growing. I don't regard it as any problem at all. Here's one I do not know. I thought it might have been mint because it grows in the same area. Somewhere around here there's mint. I'm not sure what mint looks like, but you can always smell it if you step on it. This is an area that I let a lot of burdock grow. Here's where I first realized that the pigs will not eat it. And that is like a pure stand of smartweed down there. I don't think I need to go there. This, it looks like gill over the rocks. Maybe doesn't smell. I don't know what it is. Boy, I wish I had kept the numbers because I'm sure some of my viewers could name maybe all these. That has already produced its seed, and I have no idea really. Horse dock comes to mind, but that's just a wild guess. What I wanted to show you here, though, was that these that are popping up everywhere. Now here's some that are more mature. Maybe this is going to be the giveaway. I'd really like to know what they are. It's going to have a yellow flower. It looks like it's going to be gorgeous. I don't know. Other years it's been here and I've mowed it off. And I would mow it off if I had to drive through there. But maybe someone's going to be able to tell me. there's some real big examples of that flower that I just showed you. They're gonna be pretty. But look at here, milkweed. This is my wife's favorite wildflower, I think, because she knows about the relationship between them and monarch butterflies. I don't think I've filmed this one yet, and I don't know what it is. It ought to be pretty easy to identify, I think, but I do not know. There's Sally. They're waiting to come over. I've stepped over into the area that my son mows, and so here's ragweed. Didn't see it before because the pigs eat it. They'll eat it when it's just barely showing. And ragweed is one of the worst weeds to a lot of farmers, not to them. Another thing I wanted to show you is that I always thought this was so pretty. This is not exactly a wildflower. This is bird's foot trefoil. It's an alpha. It's a legume, and the flower. Well, that if someone had been filming this, somebody else, that would have got them excited. I tripped on the upper wire and fell on the ground. That got Molly all excited, and pigs are wondering what's going on. But I did it. I was coming across here because I wanted to show you this vine. I filmed this before, and it gets green berries, and the berries are there while it's flowering. This is you can see it's a vine, and I don't know what it is. I just know that it's been here for a very long time in this very spot. Well, here's the wire. I didn't get hurt, and my camera didn't get hurt, but I took a dive right at Molly. So in here, that's white clover. I think it's also sometimes called Pasture Clover. This is planting. Again, this is where my son. I'm back over the fence. That's morning glory, I think. This is where my son mows. So it's kind of a different habitat. And there's chicory. The chicory's out. It's not a very good example of chicory, but it's hard to miss that. That's the stalker corn. Wonder how it got there. Well, I feed corn here all the time, I think. But I think this stuff has been genetically modified so it won't sprout. I don't know. But in that case, that explains how it... This is a grass. That's brome grass, I think. It doesn't look very healthy. This is orchard grass, I think. It looks like orchard grass. This, maybe more of that poverty grass. Might that be called a daisy? I get them mixed up. It's clearly in the compositae family, because all those flowers, a whole bunch of flowers, kind of composite in one, just like a sunflower. But I get them mixed up. I always just call them asters. That is a clover. Clearly, I'm going to call it crimson clover. Where is it? This tiny little thing. I mean, it's been mowed off as a thing, but I think that's hop clover. I hope I can show you a better example of it later. And here is a vetch. Pretty sure. Sure looks like you've maybe heard of crown vetch. That looks to me like a vetch in the legume family. Would you look at that? That's a funny thing to see this time of year. You know, you probably recognize dandelion. I saw one, a yellow one in flower somewhere around earlier today or yesterday. There's another example of that shrub that I was saying, Mom, by default I say it's some kind of viburnum. I really don't know what it is. And I think I'm ready to say finally, a stalk of, I think it's Joe Pye weed. I think you can see the inflorescence on it. It's only here because it's close to the tree and wasn't mowed off. I think it gets bright blue or red berries, I think. Joe Pye weed.